Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the eBay Resale Zone podcast here on YouTube. Today's video is all about taking offers, making offers, everything related to offers on eBay to help sell your items faster. Hopefully you guys enjoy the episode.
Hey guys, Jeff here with Resale Heroes, and I'm here with Commonlad.
Hey guys, I'm the Commonlad, and I resell video games on eBay with my partner RESALE.
Yeah, and we sell video games and all kinds of collectibles on eBay as well. We're full-time resellers here in Canada. We're both in Canada. And today on this episode of the Resale Zone, we have an exciting topic. When should you accept offers that people make you when it's not your full price? When should you not? When should you counter? Should you even have the best offer option? All that kind of good stuff. So why don't we get started at the top? What's the best offer option? How does it work? And who should have it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly where to start, because the best offer option, I think, is one of the most important features on eBay in terms of being able to sell your items. It gives you a massive boost in the ranking. It gives you an opportunity to accept an offer on an item that you may have had listed for a long time that isn't moving. And I think it's a question that a lot of people ask is, should I be allowing this? Should I not be? I've heard of some bigger sellers on YouTube and whatnot actually say they don't have the best offer feature on because, you know, it's a time thing that they get too many offers here and there and it just becomes overwhelming. But personally, I think that it's one of the best ways to move an item. And I think it's really helpful in the eBay rankings. So it's essentially a feature on eBay that you do when you're listing underneath your buy it now price. If you're doing a buy it now or even an auction listing, I believe you can have them on. And you can turn on a best offer, which allows you to essentially accept offers coming in from the buyers who are interested. And also, does the feature have to be on for you to send offers, or can you do that regardless? I'm not sure on the eBay.
That is a good question. I think it does not have to be on. I think it's just, but you just send it to the watchers. It's like a special,
Yeah. So another option is you can send offers to buyers. And I'm not sure if that is required. We're not sure if that's required for you to flip that on in the eBay listing for best offers. But either way, it's a very sort of interesting tool that will allow you to negotiate with your buyers in a way that can help sell your items a lot quicker and help boost you significantly in the eBay rankings.
Yeah. So when you're looking at, and again, we're talking primarily on eBay here. So when you have the best offer option enabled on your listing, the visitors to your page or your store are going to see that. They're going to see, let's say you're selling, I keep selling pens here. Let's say you sell this cheap pen for $10 or best offer. They're going to see that they have the option of making offers. And funny enough, a lot of people just straight up pay the full price and don't bother making an offer. I think some people just don't know they can make offers. They just don't know how the system works. But in some cases, it's just that if your price is already fair and it's a good item and they want to make sure that they get it, they'll just buy it. But some people really want to wheel and deal, and they will make you an offer. So the thing is, so the first option is whether or not you have it turned on. So let's all assume that you have it on, which means people can send you special offers on your items. So say you have it for $10. Well, they can ask basically, would you accept 5 or would you accept 2 or would you accept 8? And then you have the choice of whether you accept it or not. And when they make an offer, it will also show you part of the buyer's address. So you can also factor that into your decision, because if they're from another country, or if they're from further away that you know is going to cost you more in shipping, it kind of helps making your decision sometimes. But so the next two options is something called auto accept and auto declined. So I don't know if you want to step in.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically as it sounds, but you can set up these essentially guides in terms of your offers and set them to have a minimum price that you're going to decline at. So if anybody offers this price or below, you're going to decline that offer automatically, so you don't have to see it come to your inbox. And additionally, you can set a price for an offer that if somebody offers above a certain threshold, that item gets automatically sold to them and the offer gets accepted. So that's a really cool feature as well. We don't use it as much. Sometimes we use the auto decline feature under a certain amount, especially for more expensive items. But most of the time, we're not automatically accepting offers because there might be strings attached to certain offers. People can add messages to offers, which can adjust some of the things that you have to provide with the listing. And whatever they put in the message of an offer, generally speaking, will be held up in an eBay case. So you have to make sure that you're reading over that. And again, like you say, addresses are important as well. If it's somebody far away that might require a higher shipping price or might just be an absolute pain to ship a certain item there, those are all things that you need to take into consideration. So I would be careful with an auto accept, but definitely automatically declining offers is something that happens all the time.
Yeah, so I think we may have used auto accept once or twice, but there's really no point to do it unless you had a huge store and you had millions of items and you just really had it all like figured out, like programming code, and it's just boom, 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 and it's just a formula for you. But for the vast majority of people, I would say keep that open, because you might be able to get an extra 10, 15, 20% off of someone, like, because you often, not all the time, but often, like, you're going to get a few different kinds of people sending you offers. You're going to get people trying to rip you off, other resellers. And so they're going to start really low, and then you're going to counter, and then they're going to go a little higher and a little higher and a little higher. But sometimes you'll get someone who makes like a legitimate offer, and then you're going to just want to counter a little bit higher. But so going back to the auto decline, so we basically don't use the auto accept anymore. Like, we've practically never used it. It just, to me, doesn't really make sense, because it doesn't really leave room for negotiation. And it's like, maybe you could have squeezed a little bit more out. But auto decline, we have it on all of our DVDs and CDs, like the really cheap stuff. We have an auto decline for basically a certain amount. That's still not how much we want, but that's like, if you offer us less than that, your offer's not worth us considering.
We're not even going to talk. It's just
like, it's not, it wouldn't, like, so it wouldn't cover the fees and the shipping costs, basically, is the way that we look at it. So short version, we have it so that if it's under $450, it's just auto decline. And you can actually see in the history of offers, someone's offered you $1 or $2 or $3, and then they try
until they find the auto decline threshold.
Yeah, but they can only make 4 offers. So then anyway, but so you don't want to deal with low ballers, okay? But so what does it mean when someone sends you a certain offer? So what do you think it means if you're trying to sell this pen for $10 and someone sends you an offer for $7? Does that sound like a reasonable offer to you?
I'd say so, yeah. And I think that's sort of in that realm of people that are interested. And I'd say, generally speaking, the way that I look at offers is usually using a percentage point. And I say anybody below half is probably just joking around, and I'm not really interested. My auto decline is probably around 25%, so I'm not even considering that.
Yeah, it's like
anybody below half. Yeah, it's an insult. Anything below half, I might be, countering back really high, and maybe you're just somebody who's super cheap, but we could maybe meet somewhere. And so I consider anybody kind of above that 50% mark to be somewhat of a serious buyer. And the closer you get to 100, the more serious I take you. At 70%, like you're saying there, I think that's a reasonable offer. I'm probably countering back at around 80, 85%, maybe even 90%, depending on the item, how likely it is to sell, how many viewers or watchers they have on that item. There's a lot of factors that go into whether or not I accept or decline an offer. And I think that's something that has to be considered as well. And maybe as well as another is a point as to why you shouldn't have your auto accept on, because depending on the item, you might want to hold out if it's getting a lot of attention and there's a lot of views and a lot of offers coming in. There's a lot of things to consider. So it's a very interesting thing, but being able to sort of read the offers and figure out if there's somebody you could counter on, if there's somebody who's serious or not serious, is a really important thing when selling items.
Yeah. And when someone makes an offer or if you counter offer, that offer is live for 2 days, 48 hours. So you don't have to accept it right away. You could wait. And like sometimes, like I would say most of the time we do, but sometimes if you're getting like some kind of offer war on certain, like if you have an item that's getting a lot of attention, well, you can wait or you can counter higher and just kind of see, because on the listings, it shows how many offers were made. It doesn't show, like of course, you're going to see the amounts because it's your listing. But if I have a listing and Commonlad comes and checks, like if Commonlad wants this pen and he comes and sees my listing, he's going to see maybe I got 13 offers on this. He's not going to see what the amounts were, but he's seeing that 13 people offered me something and I turned them down. So whether that sends the message that I'm not willing to negotiate or that I'm serious about it, or maybe they were crappy offers, I mean, you can't know, but it does show that there was a lot of interest. And I'll give you one example actually that comes to mind. So in selling Pokemon cards, we've sold a lot of them. So I mean, I think our most expensive Pokemon card we've sold was like $500 or something like that. But and for that particular card, we got offers like left and right. So we had it listed for like 600, and it was one of those first edition expensive Charizard holo card, like one of the rare ones. And people would send us offers left and right, and it was just like so spammy. But most of them were really low, so we would counter it, or we would decline, or we would do all these things. But people would be sending us messages like, would you accept 100 while someone else is offering us 300? But again, let's say if Commonlad came to look at our listing and he really wanted that card, and he would see that we've gotten like 20 offers, well, maybe he's going to be like, okay, like they've gotten a lot of offers, so if I actually want it, I need to make like a serious offer.
Or even that could encourage a buyer to purchase now, which I think is where a lot of that sort of buy it now stuff. A lot of people will get nervous. Again, like the point you've already brought up, that if you set offers, then you're never going to get another buy it now price again, and that's just not right, because people know what items are worth. They know if they found the one that they're looking for, that they don't want it to disappear. Because again, this is a used market, so every single thing is different. So by the time that buyer goes through all the items that they're looking for and then identifies one that actually matches their needs, if it's the right one at a good price, they're just going to buy it. They don't have the time to wait around and negotiate over $10 when they could lose the item. So that's an important thing, I think, to note there as well. Another thing that I wanted to talk about too, which I think is really important, is sort of the actual structure of how the offer system works. So when you review, or when you receive an offer, you'll have the option to review it. And there are 3 options that you can do when you receive that offer. You can accept it, you can counteroffer it, or you can decline it. And with the counteroffer, and actually it's only with the counteroffer option, you can actually attach a message to that as well. So some people would suggest, saying, this is the lowest I can go, or whatever. You can put something in there. Again, it's sort of like how the buyer may use it to negotiate as well. So that's an interesting feature as well. Declining an offer is something that we do very rarely. It's mainly if it's below our auto decline mark, because most of the time we like to counter, even if we don't think the buyer's interested, it's worth a shot always. So we like to try that a lot. And then another thing, because I know you talked about the outstanding offers, and I think it's a really important idea to wait and see if offers, or to wait and collect offers on a very popular item. But one of the important things that it needs to be kept in mind, especially for certain items that maybe aren't getting as much attention or whatever the case, is that buyers actually have the option to retract an offer. And this is something that eBay hides. It's kind of a hidden feature, kind of like an auction. You can actually retract a bid on an auction if you can claim to them that you put in the wrong price, or you didn't need to, or whatever the case. It's the same with the offer feature. It's hidden in one of their menus, but it's a possible feature. So for a real eBayer who knows what they're doing when purchasing stuff, they may, after 12 hours, find another item and then retract the offer, so you lose out on that opportunity. So just a couple different things there to keep in mind about offers. And I believe you can correct me on this as well, but you get 4 shots. I think you mentioned that, right? 4 shots back and forth on an offer before you're maxed out on the amount of offers that you can make.
Yeah.
So within a certain amount of time. So basically, if I'm selling this for 10 and you offer me 2 and then 3 and then 5 and then 6, and if I decline the 6, I think you have to wait 24 or 48 hours before
I got it, and then it opens up again. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so it's a really interesting system, but that's sort of a rundown of all the things that you can expect to potentially do or deal with when you get an offer. And that sort of gives you an idea, if you're new to the platform, especially, as to what you can expect and how you can sort of go about approaching some of them.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell a quick story here, because we started selling on Facebook a little bit, which is not something that Facebook Marketplace, which is not something we've done a lot of. And I just recently made a video about this. I'll try and keep this brief, but short version, I put 2 things for sale on Facebook Marketplace. I put a Wii bundle and a GameCube console that turned on but did not read discs. So I was asking $40 for the GameCube, which is a little high. It's really worth about 30, and 30 is what I wanted for it. But knowing that people were going to offer less than what I listed and so on and so forth.
The price higher. Yep.
So, but as soon as I listed the GameCube, I got people laughing at it on Facebook because it was basically broken. Like it would power on, but it wouldn't read discs. So, but it sold within 12 hours of me posting it. And it sold for what I wanted for it, $30. And, but some people were very rude in the comments. And, and there was like a whole comment war happening that I was not partaking in, but people were just, whatever. And so I guess my message there is, some people will be rude with you, and it's important not to engage on their level. And I recently posted something else, which was a bundle of CDs, music CDs, which, each of them doesn't hold that much value when you sell them in bulk. But I'm not really sure how much a bundle is worth because I've never sold them locally. So I put the listing not in the crazy range, but in the high range. And then I'll work my way down when I figure out that price. But the first message that I got on it was he just said, "Your price is way too high on this." That's all he said. So,
yep.
which is, that's a terrible, terrible way to start a conversation with someone.
No kidding. Yeah.
It's very rude. So I just replied, "I am open to offers." And he offered me 25%. And I was like, "Okay, thank you for your time." I just finished it there. But like, some people will send you messages like that, and they will send you offers like that. And I know that my bundle has probably less value than what I listed it for, but a lot more than what he offered. But in another case, maybe I would be very wrong in the sense that maybe my price is really out there. And so take it as information coming in, and whether it's relevant information or not, see if it reflects on your price. Maybe your price is too high, or maybe your price is fine. But what people are saying, and on eBay, sometimes we'll have people who take the time to send us a long message just to say how something is so overpriced, and then it'll sell. And it just goes to show sometimes a lot of people have a very limited view of what has value and how much value it has. Like the message that the guy said about the GameCube was, "I'm not going to pay you any money. You pay me $5 and I'll throw it in the garbage for you." That's what he posted on my ad. Like, that's brutal.
Wow.
But
but no understanding that there's value in these items.
Exactly.
I mean, if you listed that on eBay for that price, you probably would have sold it.
Yeah, we
Maybe
would have sold it for
less
40.
shipping or whatever, right? Yeah.
We would have sold it for 40, but after shipping and the fees and the whatever,
you wouldn't have made as much. Yep.
But all that to say that sometimes people don't have manners, but they're still serious. Sometimes they're just kind of trolling you. So part of this thing is how to just, parse through that and be like, okay, I think we may have a serious buyer here, or okay, this isn't even worth my brain space right now. And, thank you for your time. Like, some people would rip them a new one, but I'm just like, okay, thanks. But
yep.
This is like, this doesn't even cover the shipping costs. So thanks for your offer.
Oh yeah, all the time, right? And that's just so. There's something that I'm interested in now. Hearing that you've listed on Facebook, I've sold quite a bit on Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, and local, listings and whatnot. I'm curious as to what you think about the difference in terms of the listing price on a local listing versus an eBay listing. I think automatically my head goes to, local listings, I'm probably not going to get as much as I would online for it to an international audience. But I also had to account for the fact that I don't have to ship it and I don't have to pay fees. So I can list it for a little less. Additionally, though, I'm curious as to how you take the offer situation locally, because I always find that I always like to price a little bit higher than I think I'm going to get, like you mentioned, assuming that I'm always going to sell it for a little bit less, because I find locally people will either offer me less cash or they'll show up at the meet with less cash and just say, you know, kind of stick you up that way. Whereas eBay, it's like we had said, if they find an item that they like, sometimes they'll just buy it without worrying about it. So I find that I don't overprice on eBay expecting to get offers as much as I would locally expecting to get offers. But I'm curious, you know, hear how you would take on that.
Yeah, so I wasn't expecting to talk about that, but so it's a really good question. And so here's my take on it. So for eBay, it really is a big machine. It's automated. You know, it has a whole system in place. Like we talked about, they can make offers. You either accept or reject, and then they are basically legally bound to buy it from you. You're bound to send it to them, and it's just a whole system. So with eBay, you don't have to meet people face to face. That's one. You can do most of the stuff from your house. That's two. You can, but you do have to pay fees, which big picture is about 15%. Like when you take everything into account, that's and you need to pay for the shipping cost, and you pay fees on what they paid for shipping. So there's a lot of fees, right, that you don't have when someone just comes to your house and you just hand it to them. Now, generally speaking, for most of the stuff, in my experience, you can get more on eBay than locally on Facebook. It's more work on eBay, but you get more from it, and it's more secure. You don't have to meet with strangers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like you pay a premium on the eBay platform for the luxury of being able to not have to talk to anybody or go out or whatever, right?
But there's, so I would say, especially for things that are collectibles and limited edition, and like for really expensive stuff, I really don't think you should sell that locally. And like, I'll just give an example. I don't know if this was real or not, but there was a story locally that a guy won 3 PS5s at his work, and he was trying to sell them, and that he showed up at a meet and he was mugged. And he basically posted this whole thing about it, and someone apparently beat him up and stole his PS5s. And like, I shouldn't laugh, this is so bad, but like, that's, you know, that wouldn't usually happen, but I mean, you wouldn't get mugged on eBay, that's for sure. But so that's the pluses of eBay. It's totally distant. You never really have a direct connection. You don't meet face to face. You don't call. You don't whatever. You'll email and do that kind of stuff. But other than that, if you send them the thing and they're satisfied, it's done. But you do pay a premium for it. Now, there are some things that are kind of in that sweet spot that you can actually get more on Facebook Marketplace, or the same amount than you would get on eBay, and you don't have to pay all those fees.
Right.
So I'm still figuring out what those things are, but those two examples that I gave, so I sold a Wii bundle for $85. So it was one game, 2 third-party remotes, a charging station, and just all the cables and the whatever. So that would sell for about $80 or $90.
79, 89, yeah.
Yeah, on eBay.
Yep.
I sold it for, so on eBay, if I sold that on eBay, it would be, let's just call it 90 to be generous, because there were 2 remotes and it had a charging station. So let's say it was 90, but I would have to pay for shipping. So there's $20 gone. And I would need to pay about $15 in fees. So I'd be left minus what I paid. But anyways, I'd be left with about $50 basically of profit to go against my cost. But I sold it for $85 cash. That was awesome.
It's easy money. It's clean money, as we like to say. Like it was
so easy. I didn't have to pack it. I just took simple pictures of it and I described it, and it ended up, it was an elderly couple who wanted to stay fit during the pandemic and during the winter.
Right.
And it's just so funny, actually, because the guy what was his name? Brett, I think his name was. It was an older gentleman. So he shows up and he's holding $85 in his hand like it's $1 million. All right. And he's holding it like, you know, when people have like wads of bills in their hand and they're holding it like it's a fortune. So he's holding it like this, like it's a fan. And he's like, we're good, right? I was like, yeah, we're good.
Oh man.
But so that's one example. The Wii bundle, like I think that is a really good sweet spot that you can probably get $70 or $80 locally for a Wii. Not everybody's willing to pay up for it, but if you're willing to wait a little bit, and I sold that GameCube for parts, which again, I got 30 for it, and that was cash. I would have sold it for 40 on eBay, but after the shipping fees and after all the fees, I probably would have been left with 10. So that's another good example. So I guess broken consoles for repair, I mean, that's one thing. And another one would be the Xbox 360. I'm still experimenting with that one. But like, again, an Xbox 360 with a controller and some cables usually sells for like 80-ish. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get on Facebook for it. But again, if I sell it on eBay, minus the shipping, minus the fees, I'm left with $40 or $50.
Right.
But I can sell it locally for 70 or 80 or something like that. And I just bundled it up with some crappy game that we got from a bundle that never sells or that we have a lot of. And so those are a few of the examples that I'm toying with. But I know for sure there's some stuff that and I'm not cross-posting. I'm not posting it on eBay and Facebook. I'm just doing one or the other. But I know that there's some things that you can really get good value on the marketplace, on the Facebook marketplace. But you have to deal with the kind of people that are going to trash talk you and do the trolley thing because they don't understand. They don't know why someone would buy something broken from you for 30 when they can go out and buy it working for 80. But some people like to tinker with, you know what I mean? Like it's just
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think the general rule of thumb to take home from this is that you can sell something on eBay, assuming it's a popular item. So if it's a very specific niche item or something that's rare, or something that's not really going to have a eBay. And then for something that is somewhat popular, that has an audience that, there's lots of potential buyers, generally speaking, I think we could agree that you can probably get the same amount locally as you would get in total on eBay, but you'll end up net with a much higher amount locally than you would on eBay because of, all the fees and things, the premium that you pay to be online. And I think that's, a really interesting take on that, because that's something, that's important to know for anybody beginning. You do have to deal with people and the potential of getting mugged, which I think is very low, by the way. I've been on plenty of Facebook trips without getting mugged, so not to scare anybody off, but there is always, anyway. But that's a really interesting principle there in terms of the cost of things.
I mean, I'm a big guy. I think if ever I got attacked, the people would probably regret it, but I take pains to make sure I'm never put in that situation.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I would meet someone at night in a parking lot with 3 PS5s in my hand. That's not a thing that I would do. I'm just saying, But anyways, moving on from that.
And I'll add too that on Facebook, luckily they have unlike Kijiji or other classified, you can actually go on the person's profile who's messaging you and sort of get a little idea before you go out and meet them. But regardless, that's sort of another thing that you can do.
Yeah, and it's like you say, the net for certain things could be higher, and so you have to take in consideration that it might take a little longer to sell on. Like for me, it sold like boom, boom within a day. They were both sold. It was awesome. It's not always going to be like that, but those particular items.
In theory, it should be slower.
Correct. And I actually got a few offers that I turned down, and I got a good one, and then I accepted those ones. And so on Facebook, you can expect to get more lowball offers than you probably would on eBay, or that's my expectation anyway. And having to deal maybe electronically with more people, but in the end, it's not as much manual work. So you're not going to need to package it or ship it or send it out or anything like that like you normally would with eBay. And the way that I do it, the vast majority of the time, I have them come to my house. And, you know, some people might not be comfortable with that, so they'd like to meet at the gas station or whatever, but I don't mind. So I have them come to me, so I don't even need to drive anywhere. I just leave it on my porch, and I have them pay me by e-transfer ahead of time, and there's no contact needed. And if you're into that kind of thing, you can even sanitize it ahead of time, and there's just this whole thing.
Yep.
So
yeah, and I'll add, like, I've done that before with local pickup on eBay, even in cases where people would ask for local pickup and they pay on eBay, and I say it's on the porch, come get it. And it's a very easy hands-off.
Yeah.
You can do it on Marketplace as well, so that's another option for somebody who wants to be contactless.
Yeah, it's because yeah, I'm not gonna get into that whole thing, but it gives you options, I guess.
For sure.
And
yeah,
even,
absolutely.
Even if you're in a state of lockdown or something like that, or something similar, you're still able to sell and buy things with no contact. And you're still able to do that safely. And it's funny because I think one of my first videos that I put out last year was about that. How I had that set up way in the beginning. Man, it's been so long. So, but yeah, so Facebook Marketplace has a lot of potential in that sense. And so we sell a lot of games, Commonlad and I, but like different things, like, I don't know, maybe clothing, maybe you can squeeze out some more there too. I have no idea. We haven't touched that yet. But so I'm sure there's certain things. So here's the thing. It's really this, in Canada in particular, it's really the shipping cost that kills us. So if I didn't have to pay $20 to ship the GameCube, I mean, it wouldn't bother me as much to sell it on eBay.
Right. Because in theory, in the States, you could sell that GameCube for $40 and pay $9 shipping and still end up with, you know,
exactly. Yeah.
Right. So, and it would be, yeah.
From what I've heard, our cost is roughly double what it is for our American friends. And it is what it is. But so, what was I saying?
Love losing the train of thought.
Yeah.
When selling the GameCube. No, you were talking about something else before that. I interrupted you to say you could also sell it in the US for $9.
You did this
more.
I know. No, it's fine.
So what did you say before
it's fine. But basically, by selling it on Facebook, you can save on the shipping cost. Well, yeah. So I guess that this was the general idea. Like, when you get familiar with how much things cost and how much the shipping will cost you, like if it takes a big bite out of your profits, out of your bottom line, and you know that you can sell it for a similar price locally, you should consider it. Like, and whatever is going to leave the most money in your account at the end of the transaction is the way that you need to go, kind of thing. But it is a different beast, Facebook, than eBay and all that stuff. But so far, other than the comments here and there, it's been a positive experience for us. So it takes some trial and error, because there's some things that are going to sell for certain prices here. Maybe you can't sell it for as much, or maybe you can get more for them in your area. And maybe Commonlad can get more or less in his area. Like, it just depends on the supply and demand at that specific point in time for that specific item in your area. And it's just one of those things. And it's funny because if you're buying a lot of games, so we buy a lot of the games that go out. So in a way, you're like controlling the market a little bit. So if you can buy, so one of the things so I've built up a pretty interesting Nintendo Switch collection. And the way that I would do it is anytime that I could get my hands on a Switch under a certain price, and it came with a game or a couple games, I would buy it and then I would resell it for what I paid, but I would keep a game or two.
Keep the games, right? Yep.
And just come out with no money spent. I mean, so that's how I built a collection for me. But it's kind of the same idea for reselling. Like, if you see an opportunity for profit, you can do it that way. So saying it differently, if I buy an Xbox with 30 games for $120, well, maybe I can turn around and resell just the console locally very quickly for $80 with whatever. So that means that I paid $1 for each of the other games, and I can sell those on eBay if I need to. So one thing I wouldn't want to do is to sell 1,000 little $5 things or $2 things on Facebook. That is just,
it has to be worth the money has to be worth the meetup, right?
And the time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And it has to be worth your time. So like a console, you know, we're talking about 30, 50, 80, or $100. That's worthwhile. But things like one CD or one DVD, just forget about it. Yep. But I will say this. So there are certain things that for sure you can get more on eBay. And I'll just give one example. So a PS3, starting at the PS3 and higher, that's where you should be selling on eBay as well. So from what I've seen, you can get probably $20 more and such on eBay for the PS3. And especially if it's one of the backwards compatible one, you can get like double on eBay.
Way more than locally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it is a collector's item and you're getting into that whole thing. So for like higher end stuff, eBay is the place to go. But for like the middle tier, there's like that.
It's like that awkward area where it's too much to ship it because it's not worth that much, and it's just there is definitely a threshold there for sure. But
the messy middle,
absolutely. But it's very interesting to take a look at that take and the sort of stuff that you should be selling on eBay versus Facebook, and sort of how to deal with all that stuff. I think it's been a really interesting look at all that.
And one of my subscribers mentioned that in Canada on Facebook now, they're letting you ship things.
Oh, it's about time.
But she says, so as far as I know, we don't have that here in New Brunswick, but she says she's in Ontario. So maybe.
So I was going to say, I don't know if I don't do a lot of the Facebook area. I'll be honest. My partner mainly sets up the deals, and we've had so much stuff shipped in, but not through Facebook shipping. We'll literally tell them we'll pay you up front, whatever. We usually send a label to them so they can just box it and then they send it our way. So we've had probably tons of deals that have come through in boxes that we've purchased on Facebook, but we've been looking for a secure system to do that. And obviously in the States, you can ship using Facebook Marketplace. So I'm not aware of it. I can check with him, but that would be very interesting if that offer or that option was offered here.
So it's something that has just come out, hot off the
press. I'll look into it. Yeah.
So again, not available here, but coming to a Canadian town near you if you're in a big metropolis area. But
that's awesome.
But so probably they're testing it out probably in the Canadian market, and we'll see.
Cool.
But again, that might come with some fees, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see, right? If they're doing the payment processing, then there's going to be some fees on it.
So part of what's nice is that you don't need to pay for any of that stuff. So right now, but anyway, whatever. It just adds options, and
cool.
But so getting back to our initial topic of offers, I think that's a pretty good rundown of what are offers, what are the different things, what are different things to look out for, what kind of offers do you get, what do they mean? So I mean, if someone sends you an offer that's below 50% of your asking price, they're really reaching, but you don't lose anything by countering. And if you see that they're not budging, I mean, then you can ignore them, but you got to try. I would say you always try, unless
there has been the odd chance where I've had an offer come in at 20% of retail and I've got them up to 80 or 70.
Yeah.
And it's old item, right? I mean, it's just, so it does happen. That's why I always counter, even if it's just 1 in 10.
And something that I've seen is that they'll sometimes offer maybe 50 to 60% of the listed price, but they'll say, but I'll buy 3 of them. Or if you'll make me a deal on this one, I'll buy this other thing and that other thing. And like that makes more sense to me than just giving a stranger a deal for no particular reason.
Yep.
When
once you combine shipping and they're offering to buy 5 things, then you're making money on what otherwise would have been a shipping cost and another offer. So you can end up taking 50%.
Correct. So that's another thing. That's probably one of the times that one of the biggest benefits that we've seen from the best offer is that it gives margin to the buyer to be able to buy multiple things so that you can clear inventory. And if he buys 2 things at 70%, you're getting more than if he would have just bought one thing at 100%, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And in particular in Canada, like shipping costs a certain amount, but like if they so certain things are worth bundling up and certain things are not. And I mean, we have a whole episode about that.
Yep.
But it does open the door to that kind of deal making, right? And but I will say this: don't put the best offer on if you're not willing to budge at all. That pisses buyers off.
If you're firm on your price and they offer, if it's a $70 item and they offer you 65 and you decline, it's like,
yeah, I've had that happen as a
buyer, right? Absolutely frustrating.
And it's like,
oh
dude,
my gosh,
this is like a very reasonable offer. Like this is like 90% of your asking price, and it's like
absolutely
decline, not even counter offer, just decline.
No, it's ridiculous. Yep.
But I think that's a pretty good rundown of the option and what makes sense, what doesn't with it. And you got some bonus Facebook Marketplace content in there. But unless there's anything else you'd like to add, I think that's
that's it.
Right,
yeah.
Cool. So guys, we appreciate your time. We hope this was helpful for you. And at the end of this video, we'll link our last episode. And so you can go watch that one and let us know what you think in the comments. And we'll see you next time.
See you guys.